Hey, it's Sam Schaefer from I Overcame Anxiety, and this video is going to show you what it takes to overcome social anxiety, specifically what you have to believe, how hard it is, how long it takes, common excuses, and more. So, let's go through some myths first. If you have social anxiety, if you have trouble talking in groups, or if you have trouble even going out of the house, if you have trouble picking up the phone to talk when a stranger calls, if you have trouble going to new places like that gym that you wanted to go to but you're afraid that people are going to be judging you, or anything like that, that's all social anxiety. That includes thoughts, that includes physical anxiety like sweating, getting red in the face, blushing, which is like the same thing, I guess, um, dizziness, or the worst thing ever, which is like getting your heart beating so fast and so hard that that's all you can think about and you feel like you're gonna die. That's the worst. But anything like that, listen, you're not crazy or weird, and you're definitely not the only one with this problem. I know that because, first of all, I had social anxiety where I couldn't even pick up the phone to talk to a stranger. I would like freaking start sweating. I would just avoid it actually most of the time unless I had to, in which case wouldn't even remember the conversation because I was so worried the whole time, so anxious the whole time. Three of my friends had social anxiety. One of them, in particular, she signed up. So for college courses, you sign up beforehand, and then you get the curriculum once, or the rubric, the class outline once the class starts. And she would sign up for a class, and if she saw that a requirement was a presentation, she would swap out of that class into one with a different professor so that she wouldn't have to do the presentation. And if there wasn't any way out of it, then she would just not go to the presentation, and her grade suffered so badly for that. And it's stuff like that. It's avoiding the problem. If you're avoiding something, that if it's hindering your life, if it's hindering you from being yourself, from experiencing life, then that's really, it's social anxiety. It's not shyness. It's not introversion. Introversion is when you recharge your batteries by being alone. It's not being alone or wanting to be alone all the time or avoiding going out. It's just that being with people drains you a little bit, and being alone is how you recharge, but they still need that human interaction or they'd get depressed. And that's why a lot of people with severe social anxiety have depression, because they don't leave the house. There's nothing to motivate them to get out of their house, out of the bed, right? And shyness, actually, it's not that you're shyness to me is a form of social anxiety, because shy people don't talk in groups because they're afraid. And not talking in a group, or not talking when to a stranger, is not it's not the normal thing. You have to be able to be the normal way of living is to be yourself in every situation where there's people. You're just yourself. You're calm, you're confident, you're okay with anything that happens, anything you say. You don't worry about what people think of you. And shyness is, in my opinion, I'm not a doctor, therapist, or anything like that, but in my opinion, it's a form of social anxiety. And I am not shy anymore. Sometimes I don't talk, but it's not because I'm too afraid to talk. It's because I just don't want to talk. And that's the whole thing. Beating social anxiety doesn't mean you're gonna want to be outside, or want to be with people all the time. That's not what it is. It's just that you choose not to do something because you don't feel like it, not because you're too afraid to go. And there's a huge world of difference between those two. And what you're feeling what social anxiety is. It's not all in your head. It's not something you can just snap out of. Maybe if you told somebody what was going on, maybe a family member, mom, dad, sister, brother, maybe one of your friends, what was going on, and they just said, oh, just, stop. Just don't feel like that. Or nothing to be afraid of. Or just snap out of it. It's not that easy, because it's ingrained in our brain, right? Something happened in our past, maybe multiple things happened in our past, and we attached some sort of meaning to it that means, oh, this causes pain, right? And what do we do when we see pain? We stay away from it. We worry. We get anxious. If we go towards pain, something that we think is painful, even if we know consciously it's not painful, subconsciously, unconsciously, we believe people are a source of pain. And maybe it's just in a certain situation, maybe it's just in a group, maybe it's just talking on the phone, maybe it's just going to new place with new people. It happens because pain, emotional pain, is processed in the same part of the brain as physical pain, and that is why we have social anxiety. But what I don't want you to do is start blaming your past for this stuff, because that you lose control. You label yourself a victim and you lose control. If you start saying, why me, I'm so unlucky, that's a loss of control. If you start blaming it on your parents, your past, maybe something that happened to you in middle school, then that is going to define you. This is who I am. I am this way because of blah blah blah. Or because of my parents, this is who I am. Because of my past, this is who I am. But once you get rid of because of my blank, then it's just this is who I am. And you can begin to rewire, reprogram, rewrite the way you think, the way you behave, the way your body unconsciously, the way your mind unconsciously reacts, behaves, thinks in social situations. Whether it's just one situation that you're having trouble with, or if it was like me, multiple situations, even having trouble leaving the house. And you just really gotta understand that I will show you how to reframe your past, but I can't show you how to cast away blame. You just gotta decide. You have to decide that you are not going to let your past define who you are. You have to decide that you are in control, that even though your past experiences caused this, even though you unconsciously or consciously attached meaning to what happened in the past, that doesn't define you, because the past doesn't really exist. I know that sounds a little crazy, but the only thing that really exists is this moment right now. And you are who you are at this moment because of the meaning you attach to what is in your mind, what has happened in the past in your mind. And there's a distinct difference there between what's in your mind and what actually happened in the past, because most people's brain, most people remember things differently than how they really happened. Maybe the person who laughed at you that one time didn't really laugh at you. Maybe they just laughed at something you said. Maybe they thought you were funny, or maybe they laughed at a thought they had in their head, right? Maybe they thought something and they just happened to laugh at the same time you did something, and then you consciously or unconsciously, unknowingly or knowingly, attached meaning to that, saying, I did this, that person laughed, that person judged me, this is painful, emotional pain, people pain. Do you understand? If that happens enough times, that is social anxiety. Or a really bad situation happens, that is social anxiety. A traumatic situation, one, can cause social anxiety. And it's not like anyone's really at fault here, because one, you attach the meaning to it, not that it's your fault. There are warning signs, and if somebody gave you the tools to do this, to catch the warning signs, then it probably wouldn't have escalated to this point. But social anxiety is relatively new, and it's not really that well known. You don't really get educated on it like depression is these days. Depression's a lot more top of mind. Not that it's still not getting the attention it deserves, but any mental health and mental illness actually. But it just happened. It gives you an opportunity. Once you beat social anxiety, everything else seems easy, because this is the hardest part, is having social anxiety and being quote unquote functional with it. When you're in a group and you still freaking freak out, your mind, you can't stop worrying, you always wonder about what to say, but once you overcome that, once you beat it, your mind frees up, you think more clearly, your body feels much lighter, and you can really just enjoy life. And I wish I could transfer this feeling over to you, but if you follow what I say, then you'll get there eventually, and I will be there with you every step of the way. Anyway, back to the past experiences. So, the past experiences, we formed habits, we formed the way our brain thinks, the neural pathways, how everything connects, how everything fires off, how we think about people, and you have to let that go. You can't put the blame on somebody. You can't blame your past. You can only accept it and understand that you are in control, that you can change this. You can change. You can fix it. You can be yourself. And what we need to do we need to rewire, sort of reprogram our brain using, thanks to neuroplasticity, we can do that, right? That's why there's brain training games, that's why they work. That's why meditation works, because it changes the way your brain reacts, right? We can do that with both thoughts and physical aspects, so physical anxiety. You gotta understand, like I just said, you can change, right? We can reprogram our mind by creating new neural pathways and reorganizing existing ones. We can do this because we know that your mind can't distinguish between real and imagined. That's why hypnotic visualization, freedom visualization work. That's why ridiculousness works, projection works, vanquish works, because your mind can't distinguish between what's real and imagined. And you are in control of your reactions and the meaning you place on experiences, past, present, and future. What we want to do is reframe what happened in our past, is be present in the present, be aware of our thoughts, so that in the future we can be calm in the situation, and we can pre-program or reprogram our mind for a future experience and get it to act a certain way in a certain situation. That's because, like I said, our mind is powerful. The placebo effect, if you don't know, that the way people know that drugs are effective is by giving them a placebo, and if the placebo increases the results as much as the drug, then you know that the drug doesn't do anything. If the drug helps more than the placebo, then it does do something. But the thing is that placebos almost always have a positive effect, just because they believe that they are taking the drug. So we can sort of fool our mind into thinking things, into reprogramming our mind. And again, neuroplasticity, our subconscious, right? This is why we want to do it on a daily basis. This stuff that I'm going to show you in the program, you do it on a daily basis because your mind is powerful. The subconscious is where the magic happens. That's why we do it on a daily basis. The stuff that I'm going to show you, it's meant to be done on a daily basis so it gets ingrained into your subconscious mind, and so that we start building new habits by forming new neural pathways, reorganizing them, and it all just forms together, and that's why it works. That's why we can change. But there's a downside. You gotta be willing to go through some pain. It's not like broken bone pain or like physical pain. It's actually the first stage. It's just like uncomfortable. It's like trying to solve a hard math problem, right? You go through 3 stages. The first stage, like solving a hard math problem. If you've ever taken calculus or any math, I know that for most of math, I remember back in the day, I think in middle school, I was literally crying because my brain hurt. It like made my brain hurt to do the math problem. It's not quite that bad, but it does feel sort of like that. And then the next level is the discomfort of your mind trying to revert back to old habits. And the best way I can describe this is it feels like something's missing, and so you sort of feel like you're supposed to be worried about this situation. You feel like you're supposed to be nervous, like you're supposed to have some anxiety about this, but you don't. And then if you aren't careful, what's going to happen is you're going to try and figure out what's missing and then be like, "Oh, shouldn't I be worried about this?" And then you start worrying about it, and then you go back to level 1 or stage 1. If you don't stop it, if that happens enough times, you're going to go back to stage 1. But the good news is that just knowing that you're not supposed to, it's good that you feel like something's missing. That means you're on stage 2. That alone is enough to get you to be like, okay, this feels sort of weird. I know something's missing, but I'm not going to try and rack my brain or make myself nervous, which sounds weird, but trust me, once you're at stage 2, you'll understand what I mean. Once you get to that point, then you'll be okay. It's that stage wasn't a problem for me after I found out what the heck was happening, but now that you know, it shouldn't be a problem for you. Stage 3 is automatic and effortless thought patterns and behavior. So this is when it doesn't feel like anything's missing anymore. It's just a part of who you are now because you successfully rewired, reprogrammed your neural pathways, reorganized them successfully, and now this is just an automatic, this is just you now. And it's like for me now going shopping, I wasn't able to go shopping. Now I don't even think about it. I just do it when I need something. I just go. Or whenever I'm going to a new place with, for college, I was a little nervous, but it wasn't that bad, right? So I was more at a stage 2 for college. Well, I'm trying to think of another situation. Oh, going to parties or going out bowling when I've never gone out bowling before with my friends, right? I wasn't nervous at all. Normally I would have been really freaking nervous about that, but I wasn't even thinking about what anybody would think. It was just, I just went and I just had fun bowling. It's hard to describe, but it's just automatic. So there's short-term relief. There's techniques for short-term relief, and there's techniques for long-term reprogramming, which gets you to stage 3 eventually. And I'll tell you how long that takes soon. But for short-term relief, we got the dimensional door anchoring, which is the shifting your state into a confident, calm state, right? You should have gotten that already. If you haven't, it's in the program. And that's one of my favorites, actually. I still use it from time to time if I'm doing like a big speech or something like that. And then there's also mind shifts, which can bring short-term relief, but really they're just meant to show you where your thoughts are a little... if you tend to worry about what people think about the way you look, the way you walk, what you do, if you tend to worry about expectations that people expect things of you, expect you to act a certain way, then you need to understand what reality is, why that way of thinking is wrong, so that you can identify what you should use the long-term reprogramming techniques for. So they are negative substitution, thought blocking, my favorite, hardest. It's definitely by far the hardest, but it's so useful, so awesome. Hypnotic visualization, projection, ridiculousness, vanquish. My favorite is projection and ridiculousness. Don't really use vanquish much, but I know everybody's different. Got freedom visualization. Two options for this one, actually, for freedom visualization, but I won't get into that right now. Reframing your past, and gamification, which is completely optional. It's just a way of thinking about the world and of realizing that everything's gonna be cool. It's not really that serious. How long does it take? That depends on how bad your anxiety is. If you're like me, or like I was, then it took me 6 months. So remember not being able to pick up the phone when a stranger called, not being able to go to a Tops, not being able to go to a restaurant, or even if my family was with me, I would always make up excuses and avoid it, which is really bad, and I'll show you why soon. And so it took me 6 months to go from that to presenting in class, actually having fun doing it, right? I mean, I was still a little nervous. I think everybody gets nervous a little bit for public speaking, but it's not like, if I hadn't done this stuff, then I wouldn't have presented at all, because I would have been so nervous and so scared of doing it, I probably would have just avoided it altogether. But with this, I was just a little nervous, and I knew that I had to do it, right? I mean, I had to pass, and it was actually fun while I was doing it, versus if I would have gotten the courage to even do it back when I had social anxiety really bad, then I would have stuttered, I would have had a really dry mouth, I would have maybe even passed out. I passed out in class once. Right. It was pretty bad. I got called on in class, and it wasn't even me standing up to go and present in front of the class. It was just me talking in my seat for like a minute, or what should have been a minute, but it was more like 30 seconds, because my vision started to get blurry because my heart was pounding so fast, and then I was thinking about how everybody was watching me get so red and so sweaty and shaky, and my vision got blurry, I passed out. It was bad. But the minimum, I think, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist or a psychologist, but I do know that a habit, on average, scientifically proven, takes 21 days to build, and a habit is pretty much reprogramming your brain, training it to act a certain way automatically, right? So when you get up in the morning, you might have a morning routine, and you've built that out of habit. You brush your teeth out of habit. You go in the shower, you either get the shampoo or the body wash, whichever you built a habit for, right? And if you this is a good example of the stages that you go through, where your mind, where it feels like something's missing, or where it like hurts your brain a little bit, where you have to actually like think about it. If you go in the shower and you normally take shampoo first, you shampoo your hair first, then body wash. If you start doing body wash first, you have to consciously think about it, and it's gonna feel weird, and it might not hurt your brain like this will, but it's sort of the same thing. And then after you do it enough times, you'll automatically go to the body wash without even thinking about it. So that's a sort of simple, it's the same thing sort of, but I hope that gives you a better idea of why this works and what to look out for. So, but you have to use the techniques every day, and you have to believe everything I showed you. You have to believe that you're in control. You have to believe that your past does not define you. You are not your past. You have to let that go, and I show you some ways to do that too. And you have to believe that you can change, that you can reprogram your mind, that your mind is powerful, that you are not a victim. So, why should you start taking control of your life today? Why not put it off? It's not that bad, right? Maybe it's not that bad for you. Maybe you've been living with it for so long that it's just the way of life. Well, here's why. The snowball effect. If you avoid situations, or you worry about situations constantly, or you have physical anxiety about situations constantly, that's going to transfer over to more and more and more of your life until it consumes everything and you are stuck in your house like a hermit, too afraid to go anywhere like I was. Okay? It snowballs and it goes fast. Okay? I don't know when I realized that I had social anxiety, but it was probably when I was supposed to talk to somebody on the phone that I didn't know, and I completely avoided it. And then I was like, I wonder if I'm just a baby. I wonder if everybody feels like this. And I realized, no, that's not how it is, and there were definite warning signs. It's just nobody really knows them. So these are the warning signs: avoidance, worry, anxiety. And if you don't do something about it now, if you don't start today, it's going to get worse. It's not going to get better. It's not going to stay the same. It's going to get worse, okay? I don't want to make you feel scared. I don't want to make you feel depressed or anything like that. I just want to motivate you to take action, to not let this consume your life anymore, okay? You can do it. I am proof that you can do this. And think about all the missed opportunities that are going to come in the future, the opportunities, the events you want to go to, the places you want to see, the career you want to get. Maybe you want to start a business. Maybe you want to be able to have a family, get married, go out with your friends, go on vacation with your family, anything like that. But if you don't start now, if you don't start today, if you say, I'll just do it tomorrow, then you're gonna keep thinking like that. You gotta, right now, you're having a thought pattern that's probably been a way of life. Most people have this thought pattern too, where they always say, I'll do it tomorrow. And then I'll do it tomorrow. Unless there's a deadline, then they wait until the deadline comes the day before, and then they pull an all-nighter to get it done. You gotta, right now, make the decision that you're not gonna let it control your life anymore. Okay? And just making that decision will change your frame of mind. You gotta start doing it today. You gotta not feel bad about yourself. You gotta not feel like there's nothing you can do, or like it's okay, or that screw it, life sucks, blah blah blah. That's a great way to get into depression, by the way, is thinking that you have no control, and then you're gonna be so unmotivated. I got to the point where I wasn't able to I slept until like 4 p.m. because I was so unmotivated of getting up out of the bed, because what the hell was I supposed to do anyway? Right? I was too scared to do I didn't want to do anything. And the only thing I had was like video games, but that gets boring, right? And there's nothing to motivate you if nothing excites you. If you don't want to live, if you don't want to experience things, if you don't want to go out of your house and take control of your life and take advantage of all the opportunities that are out there, then it's going to get you into a depression, and that's going to be so bad. It's so bad when you have social anxiety and depression, because you have to fix your social anxiety, but you're unmotivated to fix it. So you got to start today. Don't get into that mess. Start today. Shift it around. This is your turning point. Here's how to get started. Go through the 3 modules, just real quick. Make your roadmap using the I Overcame Social Anxiety framework. Use the daily habits checklist / worksheet. Do those daily. I cannot stress enough how much you have to do those daily. You have to. And during the day, I also want you, there's no checklist for this, but you have to start catching yourself. Get in the habit of catching yourself and your worried thoughts, and then use the techniques that I show you in Module 2 in the permanent social confidence techniques, okay? Use those for situational throughout the day. It's okay if you if you screw up one day, as long as you're trying, you'll get better and better and better. Struggle is good. Struggle means you're getting better, okay? There is no growth without struggle. You gotta do it. And then watch the bonus videos that are applicable to your situation. I made these specifically to help people that have either problems in a group, problems in a conversation, and these should help you a lot. If there's anything I didn't cover in the bonus videos and the modules, please send me an email at sam@iovercameanxiety.com. I will get to that ASAP, and I hope you like this video. I really, really hope you take action today, and I know you can do it. I am here for you. Let's do it together, okay? We can do it. You can do it. Start today. Thank you, and talk soon.